Nerd Morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and this is my brother Joseph. This is the Nerd Morning Show, a place where we celebrate nerd culture by talking about books, movies, video games, comics, and more. And today we're going to be talking about The Wheel of Time. We're going to be doing a reading journey of The Wheel of Time over the next couple of months because the Amazon Prime platform is producing and is soon going to be releasing in November of 2021.
So exciting.
Right, this series. I absolutely love this book series. It is one of my absolute favorites, and I have read through it like at least 3 or 4 times, like from beginning to end. And going through it again is something I am really excited about and have been enjoying this year. So
I'm pumped to be starting it up again myself.
Yeah.
I still remember working in my boss's garage on a project. The first time I listened to the opening scene, the prologue.
Yeah.
I still have that vivid in my mind because I loved it so much.
Yeah. I think that Robert Jordan takes a lot of the cool elements that like Lord of the Rings, some of these other predecessor writers had done, and he's like, I can make the world even bigger. I can make these things even more intense. I think there's some criticisms that some people have about The Wheel of Time being a little bit slower or harder to get through because there's 14 books plus a prequel. And when I think it's like over I know it's over 1 million. It might be even over 2 million words in this series. Like it's a massive story. But I think the characters
deep, and a very deep story too. It's not just and they walked. There are some parts of that, but not just. So
the other day yesterday I finished The Great Hunt, which is book 2. And I've jumped into book 3 today. I get pretty ravenous with this series. And I love it. But that one, like The Great Hunt, is a Exodus story. It is them going from one point to the next, at least with the boys' tale, because at that point it's not divided 4, 5, or 6 different ways. It's really only in the boys' side and the girls' side. But I think that's another thing is like it's really fascinating to see Robert Jordan, who really well tells a male perspective as well as a female perspective throughout the whole series.
It's pretty balanced.
As the story begins, it's a little bit more male point of view, and actually then at the end it's actually more female point of view. If you were to actually go from word count, there it's that way. But I mean, it's really pretty balanced the whole way through.
It is.
I don't know. I think it's an incredible project that he undertook. I believe Eye of the World was published at the beginning of 1990, so it's over 31 years old now. So January, the beginning of that year. And I think it was actually November when the second book was published, so he probably had both of those finished before he actually submitted them. And obviously you can tell he had a big plan from the very beginning, because he sets you up and says, here's this epic great journey of essentially
tidbit.
And he sets up like this huge thing, essentially a chosen one who's a reluctant hero, who's going to be the savior of the world, but just wants to be a regular person, and all of his special friends as they go and become some of the greatest beings of their era. which seeing that growth and that transformation is some of my favorite things.
Oh yeah, especially like Nynaeve and Egwene.
Mm-hmm.
Their story arc is just phenomenal. I am really excited to get through Nynaeve's story arc again.
Yeah.
Really.
There's the point later when Egwene really has her shining moment in the White Tower in the later part of the books. And I'm not going to say everything where this is. Our discussions are definitely going to be spoilery. And that should be a warning right here at the beginning as we like dive into that. But I won't necessarily reveal all that right now. But Egwene's triumphal moments later in the books are some of the most inspiring moments in literature for me.
Right.
Like they're
so fun.
jaw-dropping. Yeah.
You're just like, go. Yeah.
And right now, one of the things that I'm getting into is like Rand reluctantly accepting who he is and his fate.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating because so many other stories there's like, well, yeah, of course I'm the hero and I'm going to dive in here and it's going to be amazing. And you have that, and this time it's very different.
Right at the beginning of book 3, he's like, okay, I guess this is really the thing. I gotta hide.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I pretty much got to the point where he's like, he runs. That's like, right. I got there at that point, and I'm just like, that's so fascinating. One of the most interesting things about this whole series is rumors. And I think one of the things Robert Jordan actually talks about why he was inspired to write the series, and he talks about being the chosen hero and some of those type of elements that he wanted to play with, the reluctant savior kind of aspect. One of the things he also talked about was rumors and how a story being told here essentially goes through the telephone chain, and that it means that like you get that story told and then it's a totally different thing far away. And because we have so many different characters that are all significant characters with their own stories that are all weaved together in this pattern, as I would say, like you get to hear these rumors from where it actually happened to how it gets transformed and changed.
All mixed up, and sometimes for the benefit of our heroes and sometimes to the detriment. So it is an interesting and very well thought out way to write such a massive series to include details like that.
Yeah, it makes the world building so significant. And it really is something that he wanted to play with when he started the project, and it really comes through, and I think it adds a lot to the story. This is definitely one that is a fantasy classic. You know, it's been around now for decades, and big epic fantasy readers get to this point. Right. For you, what's one of the biggest takes from this project that you had while you've been reading it?
The whole series, you mean?
Yeah, just kind of the overall experience.
Okay,
as you're about to dive into the series deep, you know. What are you looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to Matt's journey, as well as experiencing the Aiel again. I love the Aiel, not only because they're redheads, right? They're redheads, super desert warriors. That's like, I love it.
You know.
But Matt is, I know a lot of people say Matt is their favorite character, and I agree with them.
It's super understandable.
So fun to see him go from the village. I don't want to say idiot because he's not an idiot.
Troublemaker is not quite. Prankster.
Prankster might work. The guy who's like, oh, let's go steal a pie. Come on, let's go steal the pie. And then the friend gets in trouble for stealing the pie, right? So, but to watch him go all the way to super responsible leader, even though he still thinks of himself as the troublemaker,
Yeah, he's desperate to hold on to
it's
that, which is
so
true with like
nice.
all of the boys specifically. They're all trying to just be that village kid,
Yeah.
but they are tapped on the fate, like tapped on by fate, and
Yep.
they're thrown in, and like they're all what's the classified as Taviran, or these people who the pattern weaves around them, and they weave people around their wills and destinies as well.
Yep.
And like the whole wheel of time analogy is a big thing about the debate on freedom of choice and
Yeah.
destiny, and
Yep.
it's this struggle between these two ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And the three boys specifically have this desperate battle for individuality and for choosing their own path, but they are set on a course and they have to follow that course. And
Yep.
I think that's really interesting parallels to us. Like, you know, if we aren't like an uber rich person, we're going to have to ultimately the life and the world, it flows in a certain way, and we kind of have to flow with it, you
Right.
know.
There's some things that we just have to go with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we also try to have this fight of our individuality and self-expression and all those types
Uh,
of things, and I think it just explores those countermanding ideas
uh-huh.
in a very cool way.
It does.
Yeah.
Along with lots of fun story, incredible world building.
Amazing.
If you're watching this and you love really rich worlds from other fantasy, especially Brandon Sanderson, who finished the series,
Hmm.
jump right in.
Yeah.
So, uh, question for you before we run out of time: do you
Yes.
prefer to start with the prequel, which was written in the middle of the series, but chronologically comes before the first book,
Okay.
or do you like to start with book number one and go through it in
Yes,
chronological
that's
order?
great. So I've done it both ways a couple times, where I have started with it and I have added it in, like I think it's like between like book 9
I think so.
or 10. Um,
Right in there.
but yeah, somewhere in there. And I actually would say putting it in partway through, kind of nearing towards the end of the series, I think is the most meaningful. It is the story of the main Aes Sedai guiding force, particularly at the beginning of the story, and Alan Mandragoran, who is an amazing character. Honestly, the one flaw this series has that's like a big flaw in my mind is we just still don't get more of him. I wanted the story to be about him. You
Right?
know, I just love his character. But you get to see how that comes about, and they actually do like make references to New Spring,
Yeah.
and some of those experiences. I think in book 2, they like,
2 and 5, I believe,
yeah,
are the biggest
they
correlations.
discuss those things,
Yeah,
but really it like has a really good punch,
yeah,
when you get into these characters and understand them at that point.
yeah.
um, so that's my recommendation.
I, in general, would definitely agree with you. For my wife, I put it the other way around. I had her read A New Spring first,
Mhm.
just because it's a little bit of an easier read.
It's shorter.
Yeah, she likes fantasy. She loves Sanderson, but she
Uh-huh.
hasn't gone Wheel of Time yet. So I said New Spring, and then go on from there.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
I think that pacing is generally not a big struggle for me in this series, but I do feel like New Spring is a little bit slower for me.
yeah, yeah,
And so I need some of that big momentum that
get it
builds,
going.
and then I can go through and like consume that really quickly.
Yeah,
If I start at the very beginning with that one, I'm just like, oh, okay, and I can set it down. Where it's a great story, I love it, but
right.
it's one that I need the momentum of the other books to push me through.
Uh-huh.
That's me personally.
Yeah.
Um, but it's
Let's ask
yeah,
our watchers too. What do you guys prefer?
yeah.
New Spring first or Eye of the World first?
Yeah,
So
good question. Good question.
write it down. Let's see
Yes, give us the
everyone
comments.
says.
Way good. Also, yeah, if you guys have read this, are you really into epic fantasy, or is this kind of a different book series for you that you generally don't read this type of books, but you've done this one? I'd be fascinated to hear kind of that type of thing, where your like reader diet is like. And if you have, what's some of the most favorite things that you have about this series? What's the thing that makes this different or special for you than other books in this genre or else? Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and joining in. Joseph, thank you so much.
It'll be fun. This is an exciting
Yes, I
ride.
am super excited. And yeah, we'll catch you guys all next in another video like this. You can check out more Nerd Morning content at nerdmorning.com, as well as other social media platforms at Nerd Morning. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys again next time.